Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 102. Without any delay, start explanation. No one knew just how deep Shrek Academy's foundation ran, and neither did anyone know how rich or how many masters the Spirit Pagoda had. GUU, where's the Spirit Soul Tower? Tang Wulin asked. No trace of the awkwardness from the heated car ride remained. It's inside the headquarters, said GUU. It's not actually a physical building. Think virtual. The technology used to make it is even more advanced than what was used for the Spirit Ascension platform. The tower is one of the Spirit Pagoda's most important assets. Follow me, everyone. They climbed the stairs to the entrance. After registering their identities, they could step foot within. When did getting admittance into the Spirit Pagoda headquarters become so fast? They've really raised their efficiency, exclaimed Yu Zhenyu. Tang Wulin glanced at GUU. He recalled her flashing a badge at the staff member while they were registering. The first floor was a majestic hall larger than those of other Spirit Pagoda branches Tang Wulin had visited. Murals covered the walls, stretching along the domed ceiling. Although these murals weren't eye-catching in size, through sheer number they depicted an epic tale of an age long gone. Tang Wulin spun around in place as he searched for the mural that began the tale. He spotted it a moment later. It hung above the center of the domed ceiling, a gigantic eye of a color Tang Wulin could not put into words. A simple glance and it were as though it was sucking out one's soul. A spirit eye? Is that the Spirit Ice Dolor's martial soul? Each mural in the Spirit Pagoda headquarters depicted scenes from the Spirit Ice Dolor's legend. Tang Wulin could spot Shrek Academy among the artwork. This hadn't surprised him as the Spirit Ice Dolor was originally a Shrek Academy student. The murals recorded all of his great accomplishments. The murals are beautiful. Look, that's the Spirit Ice Dolor's wife, Dragon Butterfly Tang Wutong. Xu Xiaoyan pointed at a mural. The legends say that together with the Spirit Ice Dolor, they have a grand total of 4 amazing soul fusion skills. Tang Wulin followed her finger and took in the image of a gigantic blue butterfly, a golden V emblazoned on its back. The word beautiful couldn't begin to describe her. She was a goddess. Let's go. We have business to take care of. Since GUU was familiar with the hall, the murals didn't affect her much. She took the lead, heading deeper into the building. This section of the hall was vast and empty. The only things present were a reception counter and some elevators. GUU led them to a red elevator, flashing her badge. The door opened and she ushered everyone in. The red elevator is specially reserved for high-ranking Spirit Pagoda members. Yu Zhenyu exclaimed. GUU, just who are you? She spared him a glance, then shook her head in silence. The elevator ascended for a full minute before coming to a stop. They had their breath stolen away the moment they stepped out of the elevator. Through the glass walls of the pagoda, a sea of clouds stretched as far as the eye could see. They could vaguely make out the shape of Shrek City through the gently billowing clouds and mist. GUU fetched her soul communicator from a pocket and dialed a number. She stepped to the side, talking in hushed tones for a minute before rejoining her friends. Beneath the utes were milky white patterns stretching across the floor. Coupled with the scenery outside, the impression that they were floating high above the clouds was inescapable. Farther in was a silver sliding door. After knocking a few times, GUU slid it open and continued to escort her teammates. Before them stood a perfectly put-together and spacious room. Sitting behind a desk was a tall woman in her 30s. She had a neat look to her, red hair falling straight down her back like a curtain. The woman was the most beautiful decoration within the room, her mere presence bringing life to it. She smiled warmly after recognizing the identities of her visitors, walking over to greet them and revealing her black uniform. Welcome to the Spirit Pagoda. I'm GUU's teacher, Leng Yaozhu. Hello, senior, everyone said in unison. GUU's teacher? It was Tang Wulin's first time hearing this. Out of everyone in the group, only Yu Zhenyu seemed to react to her self-introduction. His brows wrinkled as if he were trying to recall an important fact. I'm happy to get to know young talents from Shrek Academy like you all, Ling Yaozhu said. Well, let's not delay any further then. I'll escort you to the Spirit Soul Tower. She made for the door with a gentle grace, her body exuding the unforgettable charms of a mature woman. Ling Yaozhu. Ling Yaozhu. Just where have I heard that name before? Try as he might, Yu Jingyu couldn't figure out what the name was associated with. Tang Wulin cast a questioning look at Gu, but she responded with a smug smile. Right? There's no way the Spirit Pagoda wouldn't see how talented Gu is. Her teacher's probably some big shot here. Ling Yaozhu led the 7 students down a corridor. Whenever they ran into another staff member, the staff member would stop and stand to the side in deference, their heads slightly bowed as they snuck glances at the students. They soon arrived before a large golden elevator. Ling Yaozhu pressed her hand on the door and it immediately slid open. The students followed her in. The elevator was spacious enough to accommodate a dozen people, not to mention a mere 8. The interior was painted a sparkling gold, energy humming in the air. With a jolt, the elevator sprang into motion. It came to a stop seconds later, ushering the group into a circular hall several hundred meters in diameter and 50 meters tall. At the top of the roof sat a triangle with a gem dangling from its midpoint. It emitted a faint golden light. At the center of the hall was a lofty hexagonal platform, a flight of stairs leading to its top. It gave off the impression of an altar. The platform covered at least 100 square meters, and in the center was a golden door towering 15 meters. All sorts of equipment were littered throughout the room, staff members bustling about. Ling Yaozhu's arrival hadn't affected them. Only those that noticed her stopped to salute before continuing with their work. You kids can go now. I've already arranged things for you. She pointed at the large golden door. Thank you, teacher. Gu smiled. Rather than treat her teacher respectfully, she was more intimate in their interactions. Ling Yaozhu beamed a doting smile. It's your first time entering the Spirit Soul Tower, so don't be careless. It isn't the same as the Spirit Ascension platform. Everything you encounter in there is real. Pay attention to your safety. I'll be monitoring you all from outside, so the moment you're in danger, I'll bring you out. Thank you, Senior. Tang Wulin stepped forward and expressed his gratitude as the team captain. She examined him for a moment, then warmth entered her smile. I take it you Tang Wulin? Amen. I am. Ling Yaozhu sighed and shook her head. It's a real pity. I definitely want to recruit you if you hadn't joined the Tang sect. Well, all right then. You kids go on now. We can continue that topic after you're done. I'm opening the Spirit Soul Tower. The moment those words left her lips, the surrounding staff members immediately changed gears and saluted Ling Yaozhu, shouting out, yes. Yu Jingyu's eyes lit up. He remembered who she was now. But at that moment, Tang Wulin gave the order to enter the door. Gold filled their eyes the second they stepped through the doorway, their figures vanishing into the golden light. Watching them disappear, Ling Yaozhu revealed a trace of disappointment in her eyes. Weren't we like this back then too? Seeing them, I'm reminded of how we used to be, she muttered. But you've long since forgotten about me. Unlike entering the Spirit Ascension platform, the 7 students weren't hit with a wave of dizziness. Instead, everything felt normal, as if they had walked through an ordinary doorway. The gold faded from their vision, eyes sharpening as they took in their surroundings. They found themselves in a large hall. Thick pillars jutted out from the ashen-grey brick floor to support the ceiling. The hall was humongous, over 1,000 square meters in area, empty apart from them. The place felt ancient, like they had traveled back in time. Not a second after they finished examining their surroundings, the golden door behind them disappeared. Then, right before their eyes, an illusory pagoda formed, layer after layer swirling into existence. As soon as it completely took shape, the illusory spirit pagoda faded away, and moments later, the hall was empty once more. Octagonal in shape, the hall had a diameter of at least 300 meters. Tang Wulin's team of 7 stood in the center of the hall. 8 doors, each 10 meters tall and 5 meters wide, surrounded the students, towering before them. Yuanan, Zhengyu, triangle formation. Xie, adapt to the situation. Gu, Xiaoyuan, Lishi, stay in the center, Tang Wulin barked as he stepped forward to form one of the triangle's points. Yuanan Yehui and Yu Jingyu immediately did as they were told and moved into position. And 3 soul rings appeared beneath Shu Lishi, all of them purple. Tang Wulin was certain that Shu Lishi only had 2 yellow soul rings the last time he saw him. Shock filled him as he realized that Shu Lishi's spirit soul had ascended. He knew just how hard it was for a food-type soul master to have their spirit soul ascend, especially when they already had 2 soul rings. I have a pork bun, Shu Lishi muttered, and his first soul ring lit up. A pork bun appeared in his hands and he threw it to Tang Wulin, who caught it and devoured it 2 bites. Warmth filled Tang Wulin after eating the bun. His blood essence roared and his mind sharpened. He and Shu Lishi truly were a perfect match. Shu Lishi recited the chant several more times and distributed buns to the rest of the team. These pork buns restored their stamina and soul power, as well as providing some basic healing. Without looking back at Shu Lishi, Tang Wulin gave him a thumbs up. At that moment, a low rumble resounded throughout the hall as all 8 doors slowly slid open. Just beyond the doors, dozens of green eyes peered through the darkness at Tang Wulin's team. They are wolf-type soul beasts, Xie said. They excel at attacking in packs. Tang Wulin firmly met the gazes of the predatory eyes. His 3 purple soul rings rose up while blue-silver grass began swarming out of the ground around him, swiftly slithering outward to cover a radius of around a dozen meters. Conserve your soul power. We won't have a chance to rest as we climb the tower, said Gu. This was everyone's first time here. Even Yu Jingyu didn't have the strength to participate in the tower attack when he got his first soul. No one within a 3-year age range of him had been able to help him either, so there was no point in him even trying back then. After distributing pork buns, Shu Lishi sat down on the floor and began meditating. He was no combatant. In spite of that, Tang Wulin had undoubtedly been right to invite Shu Lishi. Although he couldn't fight, his support would allow them to endure longer and display even more strength. Soul beasts began pouring out of the doors, wolves with dark green fur and emerald eyes. They were wind wolves, type of soul beast usually found in forests. Despite the fact that none of them were powerful alone, they were terrifying in packs. Their strength lay in their numbers and how they didn't fear death. They would attack until either they or their prey were wiped out. Over 100 wind wolves surrounded Tang Wulin's team. The wolves slowly circled around the 7 students, gradually drawing closer and closer. This was just the first floor of the Spirit Soul Tower, and they were beginning to understand just what sort of challenges awaited them now. Stay back, everyone. Gu and I will take care of this, said Tang Wulin. Yuan and Yehui stood stock still while Yu Jingyu withdrew his soul rings. In order to advance as far as possible, they had to work as a team and take advantage of each other's strengths. The wolves drew nearer, but had yet to breach the domain of Tang Wulin's blue-silver grass. They continued watching from the perimeter, patiently waiting for an opportunity to pounce. The 7 that made up Tang Wulin's team remained unmoving. The battle would begin the moment either side took action. Tang Wulin looked at the wolves with contempt, and the blue-silver grass suddenly stirred, shooting out like vipers and binding several wolves. The grass then yanked the wolves toward Tang Wulin. A wall of earth erupted from the ground, protecting everyone but Tang Wulin, and the pouncing wolves crashed into it. As if he had just poked the hornet's nest, the wolves reacted instantly, swarming toward him in a ferocious onslaught. Wind wolves had the innate ability to lash out with blades of wind, and in the blink of an eye, hundreds of crisscrossing wind blades slashed at the earth wall. Most of the wolves, however, focused on Tang Wulin, and although he wasn't protected by the first earth wall, another sprang up to defend him from the slicing winds. He thrust his hands into that giant wall and hoisted it into the air, using it like a shield against the onslaught of attacks. All of the wind wolves pounced at Tang Wulin at the same time, but his second soul ring lit up. Spears of blue-silver grass skewered the closest ones mid-air. Many of the wolves were impaled through their stomachs by the grass spears, and all of them went rigid upon getting struck. At the same time, an icy light burst from the center of the earth wall, shooting 3 meters into the air and exploded into a storm of countless jagged icicles. A baptism of ice rained down upon the winged wolves, every single icicle aimed at their eyes. Death came for the wolves, raining from above and piercing up from below. Tang Wulin's blue-silver impaling array stabbed them from the ground and Gu's icicles speared them from the sky. Everyone knew that wolf-type soul beasts had bones as hard as metal, but their bellies were as soft as tofu. As a result, most soul masters took advantage of that. However, be it the lowliest soul beast or a tyrannical overlord, the eyes were always a weak point. If the icicles were just an inch off target, they would harmlessly shatter against the hard skulls of the wolves. However, they struck the eyes with keen accuracy. The grass spears swiftly withdrew and the earth wall collapsed. When Yu Jingyu and Yuan and Yehue stepped out from the rubble, they only saw was a sea of corpses. The sight stunned them. Not a single wolf had survived. They understood how amazing such a feat was. After they were enclosed in the earth wall, Tang Wulin displayed powerful crowd control abilities and restrained all of the wolves. But that wasn't what amazed them. The truly amazing person was Gu, who had masterfully directed hundreds of icicles to pierce through the eyes of all the wolves. Not a single wolf didn't have an icicle sprouting from their eye sockets. They couldn't even begin to fathom just how much spiritual power she possessed. Even Tang Wulin, as familiar as he was with Gu, turned to look at her in surprise. Her spiritual power had definitely progressed by leaps and bounds once again. There was no way she would be able to control each and every icicle so precisely otherwise. Tang Wulin had thought that he and Xie would need to clean up the stragglers. But Gu proved him wrong. First trial cleared, an electronic voice announced. You may choose to absorb 1,000-year wind wolf spirit soul. You have 10 seconds to decide. A golden door appeared before Tang Wulin and his team. It wasn't as large as the one that brought them here, but it was equally as mysterious, and a transparent wind wolf hovered in front of it. Let's go. Tang Wulin waved to his companions as he stepped through the door. All of them could choose to fuse with the transparent wind wolf floating in front of the door. But they simply rejected it and continued to the second trial. They stepped through the doorway in a flash of light, and the next moment, they found themselves in a room identical to before. It was an octagonal room with 8 metal doors as well. Light flashed in Tang Wulin's eyes as he motioned to his companions. They reformed their triangle formation without another word. Shu Lixi, however, sat down to meditate instead of using his soul skills. All 7 hailed from Shrek Academy, so every one of them possessed exceptional judgment and perception. Shu Lixi didn't use his soul skills because, after the first trial, he became confident in the strength of his teammates. As a support-type soul master, it was crucial for him to properly decide how much soul power to spend on each of his teammates. Furious roars suddenly began filling the air as the 8 doors suddenly opened. 8 giant flaming lions emerged, one from each door. They were blazing demon lions, old friends of Class 0. A smile formed on Tang Wulin's lips. It looks like the Spirit Soul Tower isn't that different from the Spirit Ascension platform. Both possess similar soul beasts. Judging from their figures and energy levels, Tang Wulin could tell that they were all female blazing demon lions of the 100-year level. However, they were at least 500 years or above. Before anyone could say anything, Xie stepped forward. Let me handle this, he said, dashing straight at the lions. Tang Wulin sat down and began meditating, and the others followed suit. Their goal was not on the lower floors. Even if these floors yielded 1,000-year spirit souls, they wanted high-grade 1,000-year spirit souls. Wind wolves couldn't satisfy anyone, and neither could blazing demon lions. This was only the second floor. Xie was more than enough to handle a few 100-year blazing demon lions. The lions were still mid-roar when Xie reached his first target. He soared into the air, his figure twisting to avoid the spewing flames before suddenly accelerating toward the lion. A second later, the lion went weak in its knees and collapsed. A single dark spot could be seen on the lion's back, the only sign that Xie had stabbed it. His feet barely touched the ground before he rushed toward his next target. Tang Wulin nodded approvingly. Xie had grown more skilled at Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track and no longer seemed to be struggling with it. Now he looked as though he were dancing. After the first lion died, the remaining 7 worked themselves into a frenzy. 4 pounced at Xie while the other 3 charged Tang Wulin's group. Relying on his insane speed, Xie eliminated another lion. This left 3 lions surrounding him. He used Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to zigzag between them like a wraith, unleashing his soul skills at the same time to leave countless cuts on their bodies. At the center of the room, a hazy figure darted out from Tang Wulin's group to meet the other 3 lions. In the blink of an eye, one of them collapsed onto the floor, dead. The instant after that, the other 2 collapsed as well. It was Xie's shadow dragon clone. Tang Wulin stared at it with narrowed eyes. Even with his high spiritual power, he could only, just barely, make out the outline of the clone. All of a sudden, the clone flew towards Xie. However, before it could reach him and fuse, Xie's body exploded with light, and both he and the clone leaped into the air. They met face to face, momentarily crossing paths in midair. Then, in the next instant, the remaining lions dropped dead. So he's learned a new trick? Tang Wulin's eyes gleamed. He's using his clone withdrawal as a combat technique now. His clone moves faster than it normally does when it's returning to fuse with him, but he doesn't actually have to fuse with it. He can use that technique to call back his clone for some quick assistance. He has really grown, now he can skillfully control 2 bodies at once. How long will it take for him to gain full control over all of his clones then? By the time that happens, he'll be a force to be reckoned with. The 2 Xie's fused back together and returned to his companions as one. The electronic voice filled the room once more, but this time they had 10 seconds to choose whether or not they wanted a 1,000-year blazing demon lion spirit soul. Xie grinned at Yuan and Yehue as he passed her. She regarded him coldly, growling, "Don't block the way." Another door of light formed and the team entered it, proceeding to the next trial. They didn't need everyone to clear the following trials, so they took turns clearing each one. None of them even worked up a sweat clearing the first 8 trials, but the soul beasts they faced grew stronger as they continued. In the 8th trial, they faced 6 soul beasts around the 2,000-year level. Yuan and Yehue had instantly taken care of them like a bolt of lightning. They promptly reached the 9th trial. Upon arrival, Tang Wulin spoke up. "We'll be fighting together for this trial," he said. At this point, it was too difficult for only 1 or 2 of them to clear a floor. Doing so would consume too much soul power. It was time for them to fight as a team. Just like before, they found themselves in an octagonal hall with 8 doors. This time, however, only 4 of them opened. A burly soul beast stepped out of each doorway for a total of 4. They were covered in snow-white fur and possessed an air of majesty. It was Tang Wulin's first time seeing such soul beasts. They clearly weren't inhabitants of any forest. "Those are ice bears," Xie exclaimed. "They are powerful soul beasts found in the far northern lands. They are huge and should possess cultivation levels over 3,000 years. Be careful everyone," Gu warned. The 9th floor of the Spirit Soul Tower is a major milestone. This trial will be far harder than the ones we've faced until now. What do you think of them, Xiaoyan? Xu Xiaoyan's eyes glittered. "They're great. Amazing. These bears are so cute. I want to cuddle them." "Cute?" Everyone looked at her strangely. "You're choosing your spirit soul based on cuteness?" The ice bears glared at Tang Wulin and his team. The air started getting colder and colder the moment that they had appeared. Frigid fog already began to fill the room. The breathing of the ice bears grew deeper and deeper, as if fanning the flames of their fury. The 4 bears didn't attack them from all sides. Instead, they gathered together and advanced slowly. Tang Wulin stared straight into the eyes of the bears. "Everyone, stay vigilant. These ice bears are far more intelligent than the soul beasts we faced up to this point." Yuan and Yehue moved toward the ice bears, her 3 soul rings appearing beneath her as she walked. Yu Jingyu summoned his soul rings as well and advanced alongside her. Blue-silver grass slithered out of the ground and surrounded Tang Wulin. In the end, this was just the 9th trial. At that moment, the lead ice bear made its move. It roared toward the ceiling, and the entire room trembled before its declaration of might. Snow began materializing out of thin air, rapidly intensifying into a blizzard that obscured everyone's vision. A snort resounded through the icy onslaught and a blazing fireball erupted from the center of Tang Wulin's group, dispelling the surrounding snow. Yet the remaining bears roared one after another and the blizzard returned, howling and wailing with renewed vigor. It was a blizzard powered by the combined strength of 4 ice bears. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.